everybody, it's Jill. We're back with video number 7 in my Cleft Lip Video Series. Today is a makeup tutorial. It is not meant to be a standalone video. I do not advocate using this as the only way that you can feel presentable because that's just so not true. But if you do choose to wear makeup, here are some of the things that I've learned. The first thing is that you need to get to know your scar. That may sound kind of weird because you've lived with your scar your whole life, but your scar might be changing. It changes after every surgery. Leave any preconceived notions that you have about your scar behind. I thought of my scar in a certain way, and it actually was completely inaccurate. So what I thought was that my scar was dark and very uneven. When I really looked in a mirror, and this is what I want you guys to do, is just grab a mirror and just really look at yourself, no makeup, and do it with detached curiosity. Leave judgments aside, look at it like you've never seen it before. And you might even want to take a finger and just kind of like feel around your scar and see what it feels like. When I really did this, I saw that my scar was actually not darker than my skin tone as I, for some reason, imagined it to be. It was actually like the actual line of my scar is white. It is lighter than my skin tone. The other thing I noticed was while I was expecting my whole upper lip area to be super uneven, I think we see an exaggerated version of what's actually there. When I felt around, this whole side over here is totally smooth. There is one kind of ridge right here where my actual scar is, and that's a little bit raised. And there's a little bit of an area just right under my nostril here, and that's a little bit recessed. So just start to get to know your scar. That's gonna help you apply makeup more efficiently and effectively. The next thing you need to get to know is just a few makeup basics. So I want to talk about contouring and highlighting. We're not going to use these much in the actual scar area, but anyone with a cleft lip also often has surgery on their nose as well because the cleft lip issues extend all the way up into the nose. And often people with a cleft lip have a wider nose. If you do want to kind of make your nose look a little more narrow and pointed, there are some tricks with contouring to help you do that. Contouring is taking a darker shade than your skin tone. It makes it recede and it makes it look smaller. If you use a highlight, you're making something brighter and that makes it look more prominent and larger. The final thing that we need to cover is knowing what to do first. So where do we start? I personally start with moisturizer and a primer when I'm either fresh out of the shower or I've just washed my face and I'm ready to put on my makeup. Make sure you've got some SPF somewhere in there, either in your moisturizer or primer or just add it in. I will start with foundation and I will put it all over my face, including over my lip area. You want to do your foundation before you do your concealer. The reason for that, well, there's several, but you're going to conceal a lot of things by just using a foundation. So foundation first, then concealer. Let's jump in. I'm going to zoom in really close, so that'll be fun. Okay guys, we are zoomed in on my face and it looks kind of funny because I have makeup on, except I've removed all the makeup from my lip and nose area so that I can show you how I put that on. We're going to start with foundation. The foundation that I'm really loving right now is Cover FX. And I like this because it is very pigmented. It really gives you a very full coverage. And as you can see, it is a cream foundation. So what I like to do is use it with a beauty blender. You can use your finger, you can use a brush. I really like using a beauty blender because I feel that that gives it a really flawless finish and very natural. So I'm just gonna dab some of my concealer onto my beauty blender and then just go right over the entire nose and mouth area where I haven't put foundation on yet. So you notice as I'm doing this, I'm just kind of bouncing the Beauty Blender and kind of rolling it a little bit. I'm not worried about going right over my lip with the foundation, and I'll do the same thing with concealer. I want to get rid of that pigment so I have more control over where I want my lip line to be. So we're just going to finish up with this. You can see now that it's been really pretty well covered with just foundation alone. This is why I love Cover FX. The next thing you're going to want to do is put on some concealer. I've tried every concealer, from the kind that are meant to cover scars and tattoos and they're really high end, to the kind that are like $1.99 at the drugstore, and everything in between. Here are two options that I really like right now. One is a little bit more expensive. It's the Laura Mercier. What I like about the Laura Mercier is it's got two different colors. So you can use it in the summer and in the winter, and if you're tan and if you're not tan, and one of the colors is a little cooler and one's a little warmer. And so you can really blend it to customize it to your skin tone and make it look just seamless and very natural. It's very, very pigmented. A little bit goes a really long way with this. You do not need to use a lot. And then the other one I'm liking right now is a drugstore brand. It's the Maybelline Master Conceal. This concealer is also super pigmented. It's really great for just covering up any scarring you might have. So I'm going to go in and use that now. What I usually do is I'll put a little bit on the tip of my ring finger. I'm just going to grab a mirror so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to initially blot this around my lip and scar area. Again, I'll go right over my actual natural lip line. And I'll also go around the nostrils because a lot of us have redness around our nostrils, whether you've had a cleft lip or not. So I'm going to go in with the concealer and just kind of cancel out any redness or discoloration. Right now this still looks pretty goofy, which is why we go back in with a beauty blender, and I'm going to use this smaller end up here and just blend it all in. Okay, there we go. So now I want to use a powder to set my makeup so that it doesn't just fall off my face. One thing I like to use to set is a translucent powder. I'm using the Makeup Forever High Definition powder. Just gonna get a little bit on the beauty blender, and then I'm gonna go in with it and pat it over the area that I've just put makeup on. And now my makeup is set. The other cool thing about this translucent powder is that it helps to fill in fine lines and make things look a little more smooth and even. If you do want to use a powder that has some color to it just to give you even more coverage, one of the powders that I really like is by Too Faced, and it's called Amazing Lace, and it has SPF 15 in it, which is always good. If you want to have a little extra color, just go in with that. We're pretty much done with covering up the scar. The only other thing I want to cover is the nose area. So like I said, a lot of us might have wider noses and we might want to make them look a little more narrow. Guess what? Don't need plastic surgery for that. So all you need is to contour. So you're going to take a powder that's a shade or two darker than your natural skin tone. So I'm using this color, which is obviously darker than my skin tone, and this is just Sephora Bronzing Powder. You don't want anything with shimmer in it. And then what you're going to do is just take a very tiny brush, maybe like a crease brush that you would use on your eye makeup, and just dab a little bit in there, and you're just going to draw along the side of your nose. something about like this. So basically you just want to make sure that you blend it back down the side of your nose, because the key to this is a lot of blending, otherwise you will look like you drew with dirt on your face. So you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just right down the side. And just kind of blend it back down the side of your nose. And you can go a little in the front in kind of like a V shape as well. And that just kind of narrows the nose a little bit. We're going to blend a little more later, but I wanted to show you so that it shows up on camera a little bit. The final thing we'll do for the nose is add a little bit of highlight to just the very center of the nose. It'll draw the eye to this thin line and it's very straight. You can really use anything light, shimmery-ish color, so like maybe even an eyeshadow, but you don't want it to be too shimmery, definitely not glittery. What I really am liking right now is the Aucoin highlighter. I like to go in with a small fluffy brush and just dab a little bit on here, and then we're just going to draw a line straight down the center of the nose. So that just adds just a little hint of highlight and draws your focus to this one straight line at the center of your nose. What I like to do is make sure that things look really natural, so I'm going to take my beauty blender again and just blend all of this. Okay, so our makeup is blended and we've got a concealed even tone underneath the nose and above the lip. We've got a little concealer over the lip, and we have contoured our nose to make it a little bit narrower. So in my next video, I'm going to go over actually doing lipstick. Me and my concealed weird looking lips. We'll see you in the next video.